Greetings and salutations, and welcome to episode number 195 of Ref the District here on the Believe Network. I'm the Stoner. That over there is Trev. What up, Trev?
What up, Stoner? How you doing today, dude?
Fantastic. It was pretty awesome. Before we came on, we were talking a little bit about how it's so nice to just be part of a normal organization for the first time in really our lifetimes, right?
Pretty much, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable what's going on with this organization right now. We're going to talk all about it here in just a little bit, but we've got a lot of stuff to get to before that. Make sure, look, we stream live every single Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and YouTube. So be sure to stop by. Make sure you hit that like button. Please hit that like button, y'all. We would really appreciate it if you do that. That really helps us out a lot. And if you're not a subscriber, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. If you are listening on an audio platform such as Spotify or Apple or anything like that, make sure you leave a rating and review. That really helps us as well. And subscribe to the podcast there. A reminder that the Super Chat is always open and available. We try to get to as many comments in the chat section there as possible along the way, but obviously we can't get to everything. One way to ensure and guarantee that your voice is heard is to use that Super Chat. So it is there for your use at any time. We're brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything sports betting. Every stat, matchup breakdown, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. With the largest catalog of odds on everything from football, MLB playoffs, NHL, NBA, even political props. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. Trev, we've got a hot show. We've got a lot of people who are in here already. Timothy's here, Grimjow's here, Roger, Trevor, of course, Lockdown's always here. Appreciate you, Lockdown. Hermit Rob's here. Brian's always here. Kevin's here. JG, Real Deal, Willie Will. All you guys are here, and we can't not overstate how much we really appreciate all of you. So coming up on tonight's show, we've got a lot to get to, a lot to talk about. Later at 8:45 in the cool down, we're going to talk to Tobacco Road Sports Radio's Desmond Johnson. He is also the host of the Believe in Carolina show. So we're going to get some insight into what's going on with the Panthers before he gets here. The worst franchise in the NFL. I'll just say that right now. We'll also make our predictions for the game, and we might be swimming back into the survivor pool again. So we might have to talk about who we're going to take this week for our survivor pick. Right at about 8 o'clock, Trev, we're going to talk about this defense and try to figure out if there's a way to fix this defense this season. And if you can't fix the defense, if that's going to affect the ability to win the NFC East or get into the playoffs at all. And if it's possible, is there something that you all here want Adam Peters to do to help fix this defense? Or is it a coaching thing? Or is it a player thing? Or is it whatever? We're going to talk all about the defense. We're also going to start breaking down the Carolina game, of course, and talk about whether or not this is a trap game. This might be a classic trap game. But hold all your thoughts on that until 8 o'clock when we get to that. And in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about a little bit more of the 30-23 loss to the Ravens and ask you this question. So get ready for this question here in just a couple minutes. Why are you not upset that the Commanders lost this game last Sunday? We're going to talk all about that. So hold your thoughts on that. We're going to get to our brand new segment. It's the hottest thing on YouTube, folks. So we are going to get to the TNN for all your Commanders news and notes. It's the TNN. Here's Trev.
What up, what up, what up? It's Trev here, Rep the District, bringing you TNN, Trev's News and Notes. Since I like to end things on a lighter note, I'm going to start off with the the darker stuff first.
Oh,
and that
geez,
is
scaring me.
the injury bug. The injury bug has hit this organization. 4-1, we made it 5 games completely healthy, and all of a sudden now we've been hit by the injury bug. So in case you guys didn't hear, Jonathan Allen, defensive tackle, tore his pec. JP Finley got a text saying it's bad. He's having surgery. He's been placed on season-ending IR. Huge loss for the defensive line. We'll get into that later on the show, but that's just a little headline for that. Also, Jean-Baptiste, number 90, a defensive end, Notre Dame rookie, has been placed on IR too as well. Dan Quinn said today in his press conference he's hoping it's a short stay, but no matter what, it's at least 4 games, right?
Yeah, at least 4 games. That's concerned. I think Jean-Baptiste has been ascending a little bit. You were here on the show Sunday after the game, Trev, and I said he was my don't sleep player of the game because I think we're sleeping on him a little bit. I thought he popped in that Ravens game, even though he only had a couple of tackles. I thought he really popped. So yeah, I think that's a loss. That's a depth loss.
It is. It is a depth loss. I think he popped ever since he got that sack. I don't know which game it was, but he got that one sack in like a few snaps he came, and I think ever since then he's been ascending. So I agree with you. But also Dorrance Armstrong, our other stud defensive end that we got from Dallas that came over with Dan Quinn, he's been placed on the injury report with a rib injury. He did not practice today. We don't know how serious it is, but we just know he did not practice today. And to go along with that, here's the full injury report. We've got Zach Ertz was a rest day. He didn't practice. Okay. Tyler Owens is still dealing with the shin problem. He did not practice. All the following are limited, and there's a couple of new people on there too, so I'll be sure to mention those. But Nick Allegretti, ankle, limited. Noah Brown, groin, limited. Percy Butler, groin, limited. Clelin Ferrell, still knee, limited. Even though he played last week, it's still bothering me, looks like. Frankie Louvu, toe, limited.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. But he interviewed with Scott Abraham after the practice today. I feel like he's going to be good to go.
Yeah, not a big deal. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so. Quan Martin, his neck still limited. Terry McLaurin on there, veteran rest day, but he's listed as limited. Deron Payne with a knee issue is on there, limited. That's pretty big. B-Rob came back to practice today.
That's good. That's a big deal.
Dan Quinn also said in his presser today that, making the decision to keep him out of the game last week was difficult, but much needed because we got him back this week. With that comment, it makes me feel like B-Rob could have gone last week, but we probably wouldn't have gotten the 100% B-Rob.
Yeah.
Probably would have been like the game before, play him first half, don't play him second half type deal. But I'd rather have him full for a whole game rather than one half. So here we are back to practice.
Ponder this, Trev, and everybody who is here. Ponder this. What if you sit B-Rob for one more, being that this game is – I mean, it's the NFL. Anybody can win, but this is essentially the easiest game on your schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah,
but if he's able to go, then he should go. You know what I mean? I don't want to play scared and safe the whole season. I'm ready just to attack it. And then we got Emmanuel Forbes and Jordan McGee were full participants today. So Emmanuel Forbes is still on the injury list with the thumb, but he's been practicing full. And people say he was a healthy scratch last week. Dan Quinn in his presser today said that to stay ready, you'll get a chance. I don't like that really. It kind of sounds like, well, he was drafted to be that every down cornerback, that 3-down lockdown cornerback. But now it seems to be like he's only coming in depending on who we play each week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're telling your first round pick to stay ready, you'll get a chance. Don't worry. He posted some cryptic stuff on his IG too. I can't remember what it was, but it was pretty cryptic. But it's just not what you want to hear from your star cornerback that you drafted so high last year, no matter who was doing the draft. You know what I mean? Absolutely.
And when you look at, Quinn also said in his press conference that this was a team that they were playing that very rarely has 3 wide receiver sets. Right. Yeah. So he wanted an extra defensive lineman and one less corner. So that's why they didn't get him in there. Well, look, if you're the 52nd or 53rd man, or in this case, when you're deciding give him a jersey for that day or not. If you're the 45th or 46th man on the team, then you're that far from being off the team. And that means you're not that they didn't sit Igbenogany. They didn't sit, Michael Davis even.
No,
Right? They sat him because he's basically the last guy on the roster at this point.
And he also can't contribute on special teams that well pretty much either, is what I think I've been hearing. So that played into
exactly.
It as well.
And that's why a guy like Michael Davis is just that much more valuable because he's a special teamer. And if you look, every guy who comes into the NFL should be working their butts off on the special teams because you can extend your career so much longer and become more valuable to a coaching staff. And this is a perfect example.
I'm not saying this guy is nowhere near, but Matt Slater, he was a slot receiver, I think, or in
That's
Patriots,
right. He was.
His whole career, he's known, and what he's in the Hall of Fame for is special teams.
Yeah.
If he's not in there, he will be. So yeah, it's very, very important.
Absolutely.
Interesting that Jordan McGee is full participant. We might see him next week coming up. Maybe that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Especially if Luvu has a toe injury, that would be pretty nice. And just a couple more things. We signed defensive tackle Sheldon Ray from the practice squad to the active roster. Went out and just got a free agent defensive end named Jalen Holmes, Ohio State product. He's been to a couple teams since being drafted, I think, by the Vikings in 2020, something like that.
All right.
And then we also went out and got defensive tackle Carl Davis to the practice squad. Last time he played was, I think, with Dan Quinn at Dallas. So we're making a little bit of moves. It's all going to have to be by committee, I think, now in defensive line. Like I said, we'll get more to that later, but that's pretty much what I have for news and notes right now that I'll talk about.
Fantastic TNN for this Wednesday night, October 16th, 2024, Trev, getting us all up to date on what's going on in Washington. I wanted to add one other thing to that. Well, first, let's get to this from Matt there, the $1.99 super chat with the hell yeah. Appreciate you, Matt. I don't have that particular sound effect that Nathan has, but I'll give it to you. That's it right there. Trev just gave it to you manually. And Matt also says right in here, my favorite Wednesday night tradition is to showing up and listening/watching to Ref the District. Appreciate you, Matt, very much. We don't take any of that for granted. One other thing to add to that, and we kind of talked about this before the show a little bit, Trev, is that along with, of course, this weekend, they are retiring the 28, the Darryl Green 28 at halftime of the Commanders versus Carolina. And they surprised Darryl with a Darryl Green suite at Northwest Stadium. And if you get a chance, just go to the Commanders page, any social media for the Washington Commanders, then they'll show you the video of him and his suite, his own basically personal suite for him every game to bring family and friends. And it's all Darryl Green. And it's really, really classy what this organization is doing for Darryl and what this organization has been doing since the new ownership took over. And it feels like we're finally part of the NFL.
Yes. And it's also just like, that's what you're supposed to do as an ownership. You know, in the past, what did we do? We just gave them a call and said, hey, you want to come to the alumni game? Okay, cool. Yeah. Here's a polo, here's some fans, and that's that. But now we're like, you know, spending a lot of money to honor, not only to honor our greats, but also to show them some love or whatever. But so it's what you're supposed to do. It's a good feeling to be a part of that.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's really the key there, Trev, is that they're spending the money, which you have to do in order to have a franchise that people are proud to be part of, and that is going to attract free agents, is going to attract good people to work in your front office and smart people and people who can help you win, which is what is the bottom line for any organization. So all the right steps that they have made so far. I have not seen a misstep yet. So
me neither.
It's pretty exciting to see with this organization. All right. So I kind of teased it a little bit earlier, Trev. 30-23 loss to the Ravens on Sunday. Basically got whooped. Baltimore had almost 500 yards of offense. They did what they wanted to do on the ground. I'm trying to figure out why people are not mad at this loss. And you can sort of spin it. Again, we talked about this on our instant reaction on Sunday. You can try to spin it and say, I don't like moral victories or whatever. I don't believe in that. We never have a moral victory when you lose a football game. But to me, that's what it seems like it is that people are okay losing this game because we're not where this team is not where we want them to be, but we're at least we're not getting blown out.
Exactly.
But are you mad, Trev? Are you mad at this loss on Sunday?
No, I was telling my mom and telling other people, like, I got a couple of the guys who do the Block Love. They're twins. The twins I talked about are promoted on here. They're from Baltimore, so they're Ravens fans. And I said, look, if we lose, I don't want to get blown out. All the hype, the whole entire week, Jayden versus Lamar, Commanders versus Baltimore, Battle of the Beltway, and then you know how that happens. It's like 30-13, and you want to turn the game off at the middle of the third quarter.
Yeah.
I said, if we lose, I wanted to go down competitively. I wanted to be close. I wanted to make it look like we tried. And that's why I'm not mad. Because even though they ran all over us, I mean, I'm mad, but I'm not like, it didn't ruin my week. It didn't ruin my day after. You know what I mean? So it didn't put me in a bad mood, really. We lost by a touchdown. We got ran over by Derrick Henry and Lamar, but we still went toe-to-toe, so to speak, with the team that was just in the AFC Championship last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I kind of expected Derrick Henry to go off. I mean, he's Derrick Henry. It doesn't matter who you are. It's Derrick Henry. He's an alien. I knew Lamar was going to get his. I didn't want explosive plays like 20, 30, 40-yard runs by Lamar and him breaking everybody's ankles and, scoring, but I knew he would get his. But if we could have just disrupted him a little bit, made it hard for Derrick Henry a little bit, made it hard for Lamar to run the offense and just keep putting up points every chance we got, I'd have been fine. That's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
30-23 when they almost ran for half of 1,000 yards against us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And we'll get to details soon, probably when it comes to the defense, but I'm not mad at it. And what really impressed me about this game, nobody gave up. Noah Brown out there making toe-tapping catches on the sideline. Terry McLaurin taking shot after shot coming across the middle whenever he gets hit. Jayden Daniels getting sacked a couple times. No B-Rob. Austin Eckler. McNichols, thunder and lightning a little bit. Jayden Daniels never panicking. No turnovers. Poise. Calm, cool, collected. Yeah. And not only with that, led us down the field and we scored points. I'm really not mad at it. Because the type of roster we have up against that roster on paper, it's like, we should have lost 30-3. And I saw somebody say on Twitter last year we would have lost 30-3 with that roster against this roster. Oh, that would have been disastrous.
Well, absolutely, because we did. We lost to Buffalo 37-3. Yes, we lost to Chicago 40-20. We lost to Miami. I don't even remember what that score was. I was checked out by then. What was that score? The Miami? Would they have scored 50?
I don't know, look it up. I think they might have. Let me look. But as far as the moral victory, I know Terry McLaurin said over and over in the locker room, there's no moral victories, and that's cool for them because they're the ones playing the game. They're the ones competing. They're the ones putting their life on the line every day.
That's
when it comes to being a fan of this team, I think moral victories should be allowed, and I think Sunday is a moral victory, considering the type of roster and turnover and everything that's happened to us in one off season to where we are now.
Yeah,
and we have the same record still. We're both 4-2, so it's really what we do.
Right, and you're still in first place in the NFC East. That's a big deal. But I think it probably all comes down to two words, Trev, and those two words are Jayden Daniels. What was it? 45-15, right? They almost got half 100 on us. Yeah. It comes down to two words, Jayden Daniels.
Yep.
He was still his usual stellar self out there playing, and you can see, okay, we are deficient in this area. We are deficient in this area. Where we're not deficient is the most important area. We've got our guy for the next, hopefully, 10 years. And so now we can say, okay, for the first time, again, probably in our lifetime as fans, we don't have to worry about that. Now we can start filling in the holes. And that's really what we saw out there Sunday. We saw the defense get run over. We got to fix that. But we saw the offense go up against an excellent defense and really, essentially, to a degree, do what they want to do. Jayden Daniels did what he wanted to do.
Exactly.
And so that helps you feel better that, okay, we came into this season. I predicted 7 wins. I think you probably had them at 10 or 11, but you always do, right? You have them at 10 or 11 or 12 wins.
Yeah,
but we didn't expect a whole lot from this team. We just hoping to see if we have the quarterback. So if you do lose these tough games, then you can say it's kind of okay because you didn't get blown out, like you said. And Jayden Daniels still did what you're hoping Jayden Daniels would do. And he wasn't able to run as much as he has in the past. But, what he does in the pocket is just insane.
That throw to Zach Ertz over the middle when Zach Ertz went down, I think the 1 or 2.
Like the one, yeah.
And that right by Roquan Smith. That was some veterans still struggle with that throw today. So he's it.
Yeah, and both touchdown passes to Terry McLaurin. The first one, he threw Terry McLaurin open. When you look at it from the end zone view, he's not open. And then he just throws him open. And then the second touchdown, we've seen a lot of great throws. That throw to Terry McLaurin against Cincinnati to seal the game was incredible. But that throw against Baltimore on that little out route or whatever you want to call it, that option route. And kind of what I loved about that also, Trev, is they always talk about the quarterback and his receivers being in sync. And it's an unspoken thing that Jayden can see what the defender is doing. Terry can see what the defender is doing. And they both know what needs to be done to defeat what that defender is doing. And they both execute it.
And fast, too. He gets the ball out fast.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing how they just process that also with speed. How they process it is just incredible. So, moral victory.
Moral victory. Our poll results, though, we had on our community page. If you haven't gone there on YouTube, on our community page, we had, do you consider the Commanders' 30-23 loss to the Ravens a moral victory? And 70% said moral victories are for losers. So, because people don't really want to admit that it was a moral victory, but it kind of was.
Yeah, it was
again
just
for us as fans. The players don't look at it that way.
No,
of course.
I don't want the players to feel like that because then what do you leave for? But for fans, man, because we're used to getting blown out by teams like that.
We're so used to it, and it's just nice to not get blown out. Then you look at the rest of the schedule, and you're not. Again, I think that Baltimore game is the toughest schedule, or the toughest game on the schedule, right?
Division games are also always tough.
Division games are always going to be tough. You're right, but in terms of
outside of that,
look at, who San Francisco is playing over the course of the month. They're playing the Chiefs, and they've played. They're just playing a really difficult schedule. Washington's got Carolina, Chicago, and New York Giants the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, right?
That's a fairly easy
favorable
game. It's relative. Favorable. That's a great word to use rather than easy. So also another thing that happened in the second half. Remember, Zay Flowers went crazy in the first half, right?
Yeah.
Well, in the second half, he had 0 targets and 0 catches. So they made adjustments and said, we can't keep letting Zay Flowers beat us. And they didn't.
No.
But what comes at a cost then is then Derrick Henry does what Derrick Henry does.
And and we also got a little bit of taste of reality too when our kicker missed a field goal. His first one of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, but he hit that 55-yarder, which I wasn't ready for.
Me neither.
But whoa.
But when he missed it, I was like, dang, this is what it feels like to miss a field goal.
Yeah.
Because we did a great job getting down there, but we just didn't capitalize when we went down 17-10. So, yeah.
Yep. Came back a little bit to earth in terms of our third down conversions. I mean,
Yeah.
the third down conversions were off the charts before the game and came down to earth a little bit on that. But still, look at all the metrics all across the board offensively, both individually for Jayden Daniels and for this offense. And they're just off the charts right now. And it's only 6 games, but still, you're still comparing yourself to the Mahomes and the Allens and all those of the world. And then he's far beyond any of them right now.
And he's still nominated for a Pepsi Rookie of the Week again.
Yeah. Yeah, which is crazy.
I mean, yeah, he's top 5 Peter Schrager's rookies of week 6.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude he's killing it.
He's killing it. And
we're 9 for 9 on 4th downs.
9 for 9. That's crazy.
And the 9th one came on a touchdown, right?
Yeah, it came on the
what are we doing right now?
Yeah.
9 for 9 on 4th downs. And I still think Tressway only put him 3 or 4 times, less than 5.
For the game or for the season?
Yeah, for the game.
Oh, for the game, yeah, I think he punted 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah, so still.
I think he's punted 12 times in 6 games, something like that. It's
just amazing.
It's insane what he's doing. Yeah, so 30-23 loss to Baltimore, and now it's time to sort of shift our focus to Carolina and what it's going to take to beat Carolina, which I don't think it's going to take a Herculean effort. But we are going to have a new segment. Another new segment, Trev, and it's going to be, I haven't created any sort of graphics for it yet or anything. We're going to go around the NFC East a little bit. And we're going to talk about, because look, you're 4-2, you're leading the NFC East. It's time, you're almost a third of the way through the season. Well,
That's
are
crazy.
A third of the way through the season already.
Yeah.
And so it's time to start taking what's it going to take to win the division.
Okay.
And get into the playoffs. So I want to look at the NFC East at the moment.
Okay.
All right. So, of course, Washington is 4-2. Philly's 3-2, having had their bye week already.
Yes.
Dallas is 3-3. They have a bye week this week. And the Giants are 2-4. Here's the crazy thing, Trev, is that all 3 of these teams, first of all 3 could have new coaches next year.
Yeah.
All 3 of these teams, not named Washington, are in chaos right now.
Yep.
And Washington's not.
Nope.
Which again, we're in the upside down or whatever it's called right now, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So if you look at the Giants who are at 2-4, Daniel Jones is 1-14 primetime games.
Yeah.
He's had 0 touchdown passes in 7 straight primetime games. So he hasn't thrown a touchdown in 7 straight primetime games. He hasn't thrown a touchdown at home in 2 years. Right? They just lost Andrew Thomas to an injury.
For the year.
For the entire year. Their offense is the 29th ranked offense in the league. And their defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
So chaos in New York. Chaos in Dallas, of course.
Oh, yeah.
We all know this. They're 3-3. All 3 of their losses have been at home.
Yep.
They're 0-3 at home, and they're averaging giving up 39 points per game at home. Think about that. They lost 47-9 to Detroit.
Yes.
On Jerry Jones' birthday.
Yep.
They lost to the Ravens. To New Orleans, 44-19. And they lost to Baltimore, 28-25.
Yeah, that was the score is closer than what the game was. That was garbage time stuff.
Yeah, they were up 28-6 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So their offense, Dak got his big contract, and then you had Jerry Jones going on a radio show and basically threatening to fire the radio host because they're not asking the right questions. What
a bully. They're asking the right questions. He just don't want to answer them because we all know the answer, and he knows the answer.
Yep. So chaos there in Dallas as usual. And then in Philly, who's 3-2, they barely got by a bad Cleveland team this past.
We beat 48-12, 42-12, 42-14.
What's 42-14?
Didn't we beat Cleveland 42-14?
Oh, I can't even remember the score. Maybe it's 38-13. I mean, you might be right, but yeah, they barely got by
34-13.
34-13.
Okay.
There's something going on between Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni.
Yep.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. They've been talking about it for 2 years.
Exactly. And I don't care what they both get on there and say separately. That's what they have to say.
Yep. And then you had the coach coming out of the bye week, and he shaved his head, and then he was screaming at the fans at the end of the game.
Oh, my gosh.
And
after a win.
After a win. That's right. Then he goes into the press conference, and he brings his kid with him, which
3 of them.
You're not supposed to do, because then you can't ask the tough questions. Right?
Yeah.
Because the kid's there. You can't say, why are you making this idiotic decision? Because you don't want to disrespect the kid. So he's using the kid as a human shield. Chaos in Philly. So you got chaos in Philly and Dallas and New York. We don't even really get going on the NFC East schedule. And 3 weeks from now, it's the Giants. And then we don't even get to the Dallas and Philly until after that.
Yeah, that's right.
So chaos in the NFC East for everybody not named Washington, which is pretty awesome that we're not involved with that. All right, don't forget later on in the show, in the cool down at 8:45, we're going to have Desmond Johnson from Tobacco Roads Sports Radio and Believe in Carolina. He'll be on to talk about all things Carolina. But coming up here, Trev, in the game, we're going to try and figure out how to fix this defense.
Okay.
And if it's fixable.
Okay.
We're going to figure out how to possibly do that. And of course, then we got to start talking about Carolina. We got to start talking about who you need to stop. Can they stop this offense? All of that good stuff here. So that's coming up here in the game. Welcome back to episode number 195 of Ref the District here on YouTube and Facebook. Reminding you to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you are not a subscriber. And we appreciate everybody who is here. I'm the Stoner. That, of course, is Trev. Nathan is not here this evening. He's out for Wednesday's show all of October as he gets ready to debut as a lead in a play, which I believe is not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. At his local theater. So if you happen to be in Oklahoma at the time, stop by and check out his show there. So, but he'll be back after that. And of course, he'll be on Sundays for the instant reaction, including this coming Sunday after the Carolina game. So, Trev, this particular part of the show, the game, is brought to you by Don't Sleep Energy. Need to get hyped for the game, Trev? Switch it.
Yeah, switch it.
The game is brought to you by Don't Sleep Energy, as you can see down there at the bottom. Need to get hyped for the game? Grab a Don't Sleep Energy shot. Or if you need to stay ready Sunday for the Commanders game, grab a 12-ounce can of regular or sugar-free. You can get any or all of them at don'tsleepenergy.com. Use the promo code DISTRICT, and you'll get 10% off, and you'll be supporting a great DMV company. Don't Sleep makes you great. All right, Trev, we got to start talking about this defense. Why do we need to talk about them? Well, we've kind of hinted at it a little bit. This team is 4-2 with a relatively favorable, I like your term, Trev, favorable schedule.
Yeah.
You're leading the NFC East, and you can't continue to give up 30 points per game if you want to get into the playoffs or if you want to do any damage in the playoffs. Trev, in your opinion, and I'm asking everybody who's here as well, in everybody's opinion, is there something that can be done to fix this defense in time to save the season and get into the playoffs?
You got to make some trades. You got to spend some money. You got to spend some money, either sign free agents or make a trade, because, for example, look at the Jets. Right. The Jets are 2-4.
Yeah.
They went out. They have their quarterback. They have a nice running game. They got a couple stud receivers, and their defense is pretty good. What they do? They went out and got Devontae Adams. Not only because of Aaron Rodgers factor, but Devontae Adams as the player. He's going to make that team better.
He is. I agree.
And it's going to make Aaron Rodgers more comfortable. So I think we have to do the same thing. We have our quarterback. We have a couple okay. Our wide receivers are okay. We have a nice running game. And our defense is okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's mediocre. It's not the worst. It's not the best, but
You're right.
Mediocre. So you see what you have in house already. You can't just keep pulling from the practice squad because they're on the practice squad for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You got to be aggressive. If you were aggressive like you were in the offseason, get these free agents like the Austin Ecklers, the Dorrance Armstrongs, the Frankie Lou's, the Bobby Wagners, and you're aggressive in the draft, Jayden Daniels, Ben Sinnott, Mikey Sandstrill, Johnny Newton, you can be aggressive in the middle of the season too. You got to spend some money. Go get you a free agent somewhere off the street. Go make some trades. But it's got to come from within the league somewhere. I think that's how you fix the defense. I don't necessarily think it's the coaching because you can only coach so much. I mean, Emmanuel Forbes, they coached him so much, and he apparently still is not good enough to be even considered active no matter how much playing time you get. So it can't just be coaching. You got to go spend some money or get you some players in here that'll fit your scheme and what you want to do, and that's how you do it. I know it's the easy way out, but literally that's what I think you have to do right now. Be aggressive, go get you some players somehow, some way, and make this team better. Because this defense can be had at the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw what people like Devin Singletary did to us. You saw what Zach Moss did to us when he had opportunities. Jamar Chase. Now, you speak of the division, Neighbors is back from concussion. You saw what he did to us in the first game. Mm-hmm. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are both back for Philly. No matter if they just beat Cleveland by 4, they still, Cleveland has a pretty good defense. So shout out to us and them for beating them. But they have those two weapons back. And the Cowboys, it's just a rivalry game. That could go any kind of way. That could get
CeeDee Lamb is a problem.
CeeDee Lamb's a problem. And the current defense we have right now cannot be had anymore if we want to make it to the playoffs. Just in 2 weeks, we got Keenan Allen and Romeo Odunze and Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this game against Carolina, who's 1-5, I think this will be the last telltale tape if we're going to make any moves to improve this defense outside the organization rather than just promoting and signing guys from other practice squads.
I believe in about 3 weeks from yesterday or Monday is the trade deadline.
Yeah.
So that's like the official, but you're saying like the litmus test or whatever. Is it 2 weeks?
I think it's 2 more weeks.
All right, 2 weeks.
2 more weeks. Yeah.
But you're saying like now you got to make your decision.
Yeah, you got to do something because, like I said, next week at 4:30 we go up against Keenan Allen and Odunze, and then after that you said it's the Giants. That's Malik Neighbors again. Then after that it's the Steelers. George Pickens. Mm-hmm. Then you got the Eagles, then the Cowboys, and the Titans. So yeah, it's starting to get nitty gritty, and you're gonna have to make some moves in order to be there in January and December.
All right. So who do you want, Trev? Gus wants to know who do you want?
I mean, I think Marshawn Lattimore might be available. I think Denzel Ward might be available. J.C. Horn's a name that's floating out around there. We play him Sunday, so that'll be a true test to see if he's actually a target for us or not. If we light him up, I don't want him. You know what I mean? If he comes in and locks down Terry McLaurin a little bit and someone else goes off and we win, that's cool. Then, I kind of want him because he locked down Terry McLaurin. But I don't know. There's some veterans out there that still could help lead the locker room with this young cornerback room. I don't know about defensive ends that are available. I really don't know who's available right now, but you got to do your due diligence and start making some phone calls to see who is available. I'm sure there are people out there that they are, but just haven't been, Hassan Reddick has been granted permission to get a trade. I mean, that would be huge if we could somehow land that. You know what I mean? Just a game changer, a game wrecker, somebody that's going to just light up the whole locker room and defense as a whole.
Yeah. So
I don't know personally, but there's just some names out there that's floating around. But just go get some help.
Lockdown saying it's election day, which I believe is 3 weeks from yesterday. So, but
You're right.
either way, it's in the next couple of weeks, and it's something we have to pay attention to. Here's kind of my thoughts on trading at this point. I've always said from the beginning that if their big plan at the beginning of the year was laid out, and it was, this is what we're doing. This is exactly what we're doing. We're not signing big free agents to to big contracts and all. We're going to make smart moves here and there, and we're going to continue to build through the draft. And we're going to go with the young guys, and we're going to get our quarterback, all of that stuff. If that's your plan, I don't want you to deviate from that plan just because you find yourself 4-2 and essentially a third of the way through the season, you're in a playoff race already.
Yeah.
I don't want them to deviate from that. Would I want Myles Garrett on this football team? I would scream and holler if Myles Garrett came to this football team.
Mm-hmm.
But Myles Garrett is going to come with a hefty price tag, right?
Yeah.
Hassan Reddick is not playing for the Jets because he wants a new contract. If you trade for Hassan Reddick, you're going to have to give him money, a lot of money for a lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing we were talking about with Brandon Ayuk and with Devontae Adams before, after that.
Yeah.
Would we love to have these guys? Yeah, but they don't fit what this organization is trying to do. But I'm also with you, Trev. I'm also like, you don't know what's going to happen to Jayden Daniels. You don't know what's going to happen to Terry McLaurin or any of these young players. We can't predict what's going to happen in 2025 and beyond. So if you've got the opportunity, maybe you should go for it. But they've resisted all this time. We've got $26 million in cap space this year. Yeah. We've got 9 picks in the draft this year, including 4 in the top 100. Do you want to sacrifice any or all of that in order to make a run at it this year? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I want to do that, but it does make sense to go get a Denzel Ward, to go get a J.C. Horn, a Marshawn Lattimore, Myles Garrett, Hassan, any of those guys. It makes sense to go get them.
It does. I agree. I don't know. It's just I'm with you on that. Like, we got the guys who we have. We're gonna stick it, write it out. But in the presser today, DQ said him and Adam Peters look at the roster all the time.
Yeah, all the time. Sure.
Not just because it's trade deadline coming up, but all the time. So that just lets me know that they're still trying to improve this team if they can, if it's worth it. And like today, they went out, they got that Carl Davis guy, and they promoted Sheldon Ray. So like they're looking at it, but I feel like they're trying to grab stuff within first and a little bit of pieces of others from other teams to see how they fit. But I don't know, man. I think you at least make a trade or go get one person, somebody that can, because we lost Jonathan Allen for the year.
Yeah.
I'm high on Johnny Newton, but he's a rookie. But Aaron Mathis is inconsistent. And Deron Payne is on the injury report with a knee issue already. So, like, by committee, cool, but we need something else on that defensive line.
Yeah, 100%.
And we need something else in that cornerback room. So if you can get two caliber players or, end of prime players, just somebody that's worth something in the league at those positions, I think you make that move. I'm not saying you sell the house. You don't have to get rid of your 4 top 100 picks if it's somebody that's not a Hassan Reddick. But if you want somebody like a Myles Garrett or Hassan Reddick or a Cooper Kupp or something like that, then you might have to – I'm not saying Cooper Kupp's coming, but he's in the trade rumors. But you might have to give a hefty price for that. But you don't have to do that. You can give away your 4th and 5th round or 5th and 6th round. We'll be okay because the ones we got in last year's draft, it'll be their second year. They'll have a better grasp on it. We can build on that. We don't necessarily have to keep resetting at the same time. So, I don't know. Just be aggressive. Go get somebody, please.
It's not apples to apples, but Adam Peters traded Jahan Dotson for a 3rd rounder.
Right.
He got rid of a guy for a 3rd rounder. Amari Cooper and Devontae Adams went for 3rd rounders as well. Again, it's not apples to apples because they have different contracts, right?
Yes.
That plays a role when Devontae Adams is making $25 million and Jahan Dotson is making $3 million.
Yeah.
So,
And we still got a third rounder.
right. So the thing I'm trying to get to on that is that Adam Peters and his staff have this plan to build this team and not go sign Albert Hainsworth,
Yeah.
Jeff George, and Adam Archuleta, and on, right? He has this plan, and I don't think he's going to deviate it from it just so that there's a better chance of a run this year, because all he has to do is look at Jayden Daniels' contract, and he's got control of Jayden Daniels for 5 years at a reasonable price. He's the number 2 overall pick, and he's going to make some pretty good money, but he's not going to make Dak Prescott money until 5 years from now. So he's got time, and I just don't think he's going to do it.
Okay, well, how about this? Just go get a corner. We can do it by committee on defensive line. I'll live with that, here and there. But go get your corner. They worked out 2 corners yesterday. Kyle Fuller was one of them. That's Kendall Fuller, former Commander's brother. He hasn't played in 2 years, though. But he was a stud when he did play. I think it's a Pro Bowl in, like, one of his years. But
it's been about 5 or 6 years since he's been a Pro Bowl. Yeah.
Go get you a corner, at least. Yeah. Because, like I said earlier in the show, if you're telling Emmanuel Forbes to stay ready, and don't worry, pal, you'll get a chance here or sometime soon. You'll get your chance. That's not good, bro.
Yeah, no, it's not.
That's not good. And your top corner in BSJ says he's not going to stop being aggressive, but draws you a DPI 2 or 3 times a game.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Go get you a stud corner or a veteran leader in there to help out that cornerback room.
Should Washington have kept Cam Curl and Kendall Fuller?
No.
Think about that for a second. Think about how good Kendall Fuller was last year. No. And if he was your number 1 corner, St. Juice was your number 2, and Sanistril was in the slot where he's supposed to be. But Sanistril is so good that they have to put him outside because he's their second best outside corner after St. Juice, but he's not supposed to be there. They don't want him there. They want him inside. But they have to because they don't have good enough corners. What if Kendall Fuller was still here, Trev?
He'd be burnt toast just like he was when he was here. Okay. If Kendall Fuller is your best corner on your team, your cornerback room is awful.
Well, I think he would be the best corner on this team right now if he were here.
He would, but he'd still be burnt toast.
Yeah, you could be right. All right, so I'm Adam Peters, and I come to you, Trev, and I say, we're not trading anybody. We are not giving up draft capital. We are not bringing on $20 million a year for Myles Garrett or Reddick or any of these guys. We're not doing it. Fix the defense. How are you going to fix the defense, Trev? Can you go sign a free agent where you don't have to give up anything? But like
if he's not
on the street, sure.
Okay, we'll do that. Because I don't know how much Joe Witt can preach. Turnovers is the next step, and we got one, kind of by luck on Sunday.
Yeah, I was definitely lucky, but it counts.
If you took the man from making Deron Bland a league-leading interception cornerback who was a 5th-round pick, you bring him here, and he's kind of getting impatient. You can sense in his press conferences that it's taking too long for us to kind of grasp the kind of defense and style he wants to play.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go get somebody, dude. Because like I said earlier, you can only coach so much.
Yeah.
The players have to execute.
Yeah.
And communicate and all that. So I don't think it's bad scheme. I don't think it's just we don't have the talent that fits what he wants to do. I think he's starting to realize that and getting a little frustrated.
I think you're going to see a little bit better defense going forward because you're not going to be facing as many top tier quarterbacks. You don't have another Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson on your schedule.
Kyler Murray.
Right? Yeah, Kyle. I mean, I don't know what's going on with him this year, but I mean, you've got look, Caleb Williams, I think is going to be really good, and he's been good the last few games, but he's not there yet, right?
Right.
I mean, you've got either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. You've got
Right.
Jalen Hurts, who is down this year.
Yep.
You've got Dak, who is down this year.
Daniel Jones
You got
again.
Will Levis. You've got Daniel
Yeah.
Jones.
You got Spencer Rattler probably for the
Spencer,
Saints.
right? Kirk Cousins probably going to be a problem, right? Right. I mean, he is a top tier quarterback to me.
But if we get to him, he won't be.
But the point being is that they can't beat good quarterbacks right now. They can
Right.
beat average quarterbacks. They can beat
Right.
Andy Dalton. Okay.
Yes.
They can easily
Yes.
beat Andy Dalton. But they can't beat a Lamar Jackson.
No.
They don't have the horses to beat a Lamar Jackson. Because you can put 8 guys in the box like they were doing against Lamar Jackson to try and stop Derrick Henry and Lamar from running, and Lamar's going to beat you through the air because he's too good. He understands what you're doing. He's seen it all. He's talented enough. He's got the arm. He's got the understanding of the offense. He's got the intelligence, and he's going to pick you apart. Then when you go ahead and take that away, fine, then we'll go with Derrick Henry up the middle. So, and that's the same with like Joe Burrow. You can blitz Joe Burrow all day. He's going to beat your blitzing because he knows what to do. And same with Baker Mayfield. But if you face a guy like a Kyler Murray, a Deshaun Watson, a Daniel Jones, guys like that, you're going to be able to beat them because you don't have to have the horses to be able to stop them.
Right.
So they're going to be able to beat Carolina, who's got a decent running attack.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be able to do things to Andy Dalton, who's going to be able to throw the ball down the field on them. But he's not going to be able to have a whole lot of success like these other guys because he doesn't have the horses around him.
No, he does not.
He doesn't have Zay Flowers out there. He doesn't have Isaiah Likely and Derrick Henry and all this other stuff.
He doesn't even have Adam Thielen right now.
Yeah, so I think their defense is going to show improvement simply because they're not playing the great quarterbacks the rest of the way.
So is that actually improvement, or is it because we're not facing great quarterbacks along the way?
It's because you're not facing great quarterbacks along the way.
So it's really not improvement then.
Right. Okay, right. Maybe not improvement's not the right word, but you're going to be able to get by.
Okay, there we go.
And with this offense, with the Commanders' offense, who's going to do a better job of controlling the clock than they did against Baltimore, and keep the other team's offense on the sideline, which we've talked about for years, that helps make your defense better is when your offense is out there longer, right? And so they're going to be able to do that with these teams and not get burned by a Lamar Jackson and a Joe Burrow and a Baker and guys like that.
Franchise Talk over here says, the problem is the top running backs will have to see Saquon twice, Najee Harris, Alvin Kamara, etc. He has a point there. Our run defense has been atrocious all year long, no matter who's there. Even we had J.A. in there. So we might not be facing the best quarterbacks, but we're the type of team that allows these mid-level running backs go off and make a name for themselves again, at least for the highlight of the day. Devin Singletary, he's a Jag. He's been everywhere. Chuba Hubbard, he was decent coming out of school, but he hurt a little bit. But now he's finding his way again too. Najee Harris, he's Mr. Inconsistent. Saquon is Saquon twice a year.
Sure.
So yeah,
Saquon's a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem. So I kind of agree with that statement by Franchise Talk about the running back.
Listen, it's a little bit different when it's Najee Harris, for example. Let Najee Harris have 106 yards rushing and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to be able to stop the passing attack a little bit better because you're not going to have, a top offense coming at you. You're not going to have a top quarterback. So you're going to be able to stack the box a little bit better. You're going to be able to blitz these quarterbacks. Just watch the tape of what they did to Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is considered a very good quarterback. And he has Marvin Harrison Jr., right? A stud rookie wide receiver. They shut that offense down because Kyler Murray didn't know what to do. when he had all these different looks coming at him. You throw those same looks at Joe Burrow, you throw those same looks at Lamar Jackson, they're going to beat it. But these average quarterbacks can't beat you. And if the average quarterbacks can't beat you, then you can at least contain the run. The defense is not as bad as we tend to think it is. It's not. The run defense is 22nd in the league. That's not great, right? That's not championship level, but that's enough to get by. That as long as you don't have Derrick Henry running all over you or Lamar Jackson back there, then you can get by and you can win these games. And that's all they need to do to be able to hold off on making any rash moves until you get back to the draft and the offseason. We don't need to go, what are we right now, 4-2? We don't need to go 15-2. We just need to keep developing these guys, these younger guys, the Sanistrills, the Newtons, the Mathis, the Luvu still being a young guy, the Butlers of the world, the BSJs. We just need to develop these guys and then bring in more support in the next couple of years.
That's what so why can't we, since he might not be active, but we have a veteran in Jonathan Allen on the defensive line to mentor that. We got Bobby Wagner to mentor the linebacker room.
Right.
Now go get you a veteran cornerback that can still got some left in the tank that can mentor that cornerback room.
Yeah.
Michael Davis is not it. Sorry.
No,
he's not going to mentor anybody.
So, I need it to be a guy that they truly believe in and not just a guy because, hey, we want to make a desperate move to try and really make a run at it. I don't be a guy that they say, look, we've looked into him hard. He fits our style, right?
Yeah,
bring in a Deron Bland,
right? Right. I think they've been doing that all year by signing these guys to practice squad and active. I think they actually do they fit our scheme no matter what your name is? Does it fit? Yeah.
Right.
Well, then I think they could do that with the cornerback position. Do they fit what we have to offer? They do. Give the vet minimum and let's go. Let's rock.
Let's do it. Let's turn our attention to Carolina before at 8:45 we've got Desmond Johnson coming on from the Believe in Carolina podcast. Let's take a look at them a little bit. Of course, we know they're not a good team, right?
Yeah.
They're 1-5. Who did they beat? They beat the Raiders. They beat the Raiders 36-22. I mean, they just
Dalton was dealing.
I don't know. That was Dalton. Was that Dalton starting or was that Dalton coming in?
I think starting.
Bryce. I think that's his. Yeah, it was game 3. Yeah. I think they benched Bryce Young starting in game 3. Yeah. But yeah, so they're 1-5 at the moment. Their offense is bad. Their defense is worse. Yeah. They've got injuries that they're dealing with. They're just not good. No. And this is a game that last year, when we looked at playing against Chicago early in the year, the Giants early in the year, and we said, this is a bad team. Washington should whoop them. And we got whooped. This is different, right? Carolina's a bad team. Listen to this, Trev. Their scoring offense is 28th in the league. They're averaging 17.2 points per game. Wow. 17.2 points per game. Their defense is 32nd in the league. Dead last. DFL. Dead effing last. They're giving up 33.8 points per game, when Washington is the third best scoring offense, scoring 29.7 points per game. They're 29th total yards given up. They're ranked 29th. Rushing, they're 30th in the league, their rushing defense, and their passing defense is 21st in the league. Their defense is bad. And Washington's offense, 5th in total yards, 5th in rushing, 3rd in passing, and 3rd in scoring. Right. Their offense, they're 25th in total yards, 22nd in rushing, 23rd in passing, and like I said, 28th in scoring. whereas Washington in all those categories, 22nd in yards, 22nd in rush defense, 17th in pass defense. Believe it or not,
That's wild.
In pass defense. That's why I said
That's
they're not as bad as we think.
That doesn't make any sense.
And scoring defense, we're 22nd. So I think we talked about this at the beginning of the year. At least I said that, look, if Washington can get into that range of 19, 20, 21 right in there, it won't be too bad. That's where I think that they can be in order to be a decent overall team.
Yeah.
Of course, looking at their team, where did I put my notes for their team? Oh, it's on the floor. That's what happened to it. Got it. The fan blew it. Of course, Andy Dalton is their quarterback, right?
Yeah.
He's throwing at a 66% completion percentage, averaging about 179 yards per game, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks. He's been sacked 5 times, has an 87.6 rating. He's a veteran, Trev. He's seen everything. He moves the offense a lot better than Bryce Young did. But I'm sorry, Andy Dalton is a quarterback that you have to absolutely whoop.
Yeah, you have to, because he'll beat you. He'll turn around and beat you. Ask the Raiders about it.
That's right.
I think the last time Andy Dalton saw us, he got his head taken off by John Bostic. Remember that?
Yes, I do. That's right.
He's shaking shivering his boots a little bit. But not saying he's an all-elite quarterback, but he is one that if you give him what he wants, he'll take it and he'll win.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a starting quarterback. He was pretty decent in college. He was a starter for Cincinnati for a long time, then became a Jag later on in his career. But hey, if he can move the offense better than Bryce Young, number 1 overall pick, high offense, high scoring for Alabama product, he's still got some left in the tank. So I would probably say don't sleep on Andy Dalton. Let's just put him to sleep.
Yes, I like it. I like it. Just knock him out of the game. He'll do some things. He'll make some passes, and we'll get all ticked off during the course of the game that Andy Dalton is throwing the ball all over the place. But he'll also throw it to our team as well. He'll throw it to.
Yeah, he will.
He'll throw some picks as well. Chuba Hubbard, you mentioned him earlier, Trev. He's, I believe, 3rd in the league in yards per attempt at 5.6 yards per attempt.
Wow.
He has rushed it 86 times for 485 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's averaging 81 yards per game.
I mean, that's something to pay attention to.
Yep. And he's catching the ball out of the backfield. He's got 22 catches out of the backfield as well. Wow. And another touchdown there. And then you've got Miles Sanders, who you would think would be doing a whole lot more than he actually is.
He's there. I forgot he was there.
Yep. He's their 3rd down back. He's got 30 rushes for 98 yards and a touchdown, and he's also caught 11 balls out of the backfield. So
he killed us when he was in Philly.
Their running attack there in Carolina. Deontay Johnson is their number 1 receiver. They got him in a trade from Pittsburgh in the offseason.
And he's already come up in trade talks again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you might as well. If you're Carolina, you're not going anywhere. He's got 29 catches for 340 yards and 3 touchdowns. Problem is, he's got 29 catches on 55 targets.
Wow.
So, not a whole lot of catches. What do you call that? Like your catch percentage or whatever?
Yeah, pass catch ratio or something. I don't know.
Yeah, not great there. But they've also got the rookie Xavier Legette. Out of South Carolina. We really liked him this offseason. He was the 32nd overall pick in the 1st round. He's got 16 catches for 174 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's a big guy. I think he's like 6'4".
Yeah, so BSJ will be on him.
Yeah, he's a big dude. So don't put Forbes on him, right?
No.
And then they've got the tight end Jatavian Sanders, also a rookie. He's got 13 catches for 90 yards. So their offense is not anything to be scared about. They've got injuries kind of all over the place. Defensively, they've got injuries. They just don't have a team, when you look at them, that you're going to say, okay, this guy's a problem. Okay, how do we stop this guy? Okay, how are we going to block this guy up? How are we going to keep this guy out of the back? They just don't have anybody like that on their team. And so I don't see how this is going to be that difficult of a matchup. Is there anything that concerns you, Trev, in this matchup?
Yeah, I don't want us to sleep on this team. It's NFL. They get paid just like our players get paid. They're a professional football team. They're 1-5, but 1-5 teams can ruin hopes and dreams for these 4-2, 5-1 playoff caliber type teams that like us. Once they become 1-5, they become season spoilers, and they have something to play for because, hey, if we can't go, you can't go either. So I don't want them to take this game lightly because this can turn into a trap game. Because then we play the 4-2 Bears next week against Caleb Williams, and they're starting to find rhythm. So I don't want to go into that game with another loss, especially to the Carolina Panthers, a 1-5 team. So I think we should win this game handily, as long as we just keep the foot on the gas, don't change anything up, don't slouch off because it's 1-5, don't slouch off because it's Andy Dalton, don't slouch off because they don't have a wide receiver room that's like that. That's concerning. So go in there, treat it like you guys are both 0-0, or you're both trying to make a play out. Like, just have a different mindset. Treat them like they belong. Don't treat them like they don't belong until, after you put the foot on the gas and we're up by like 3 scores.
And
so, yeah.
And I think, and this is perfect timing because this was I was going to bring up, is that this coaching staff has the ability to not allow it to be a trap game, because I thought that the Cleveland game could have been a trap game because you had the big Baltimore game to look forward to the next week.
Right.
And this is the same thing, right? You're coming off an emotional kind of a big deal, a hyped game against Baltimore. Next week, you got another hyped game. It's going to be just as hyped as this Baltimore game was, because
it's going to be Tony Romo and Jim Nantz again.
Yep, it's going to be number 1 pick versus number 2 pick.
Yes.
Both teams are probably going to be 5-2.
Yes.
Right. Or wait, Chicago on a bye this week?
Oh, let me see.
They might be on a bye. But still, you've got 2 good teams. It's been flexed to the America's game in the afternoon. So it's going to be super hyped. And this is the perfect spot when you're playing a bad team. Are they off?
Yeah, they're off.
They're off. Yeah, it's okay. So you're going to have a 4-2 versus probably a 5-2 team. And this is the perfect trap game. But I don't think that this coaching staff is going to allow them to be unprepared going into the game. I don't see them, having like Jayden Daniels. He's going to be ready for this game because he prepares. If you talk to him last week after the Baltimore game, he said this was just another game to him. That's how he prepares for the games. That's how he is mentally. So the Carolinas can be the same thing. I'm going to prepare the same way I would prepare for Baltimore. And if the whole team takes that mentality, takes that approach, then they're going to do what they have to do against Carolina. Anybody can win this game, obviously. But Washington should win this game 9 out of 10 times.
10 out of 10 times.
10 out of 10. Well, this is the NFL, right? Crazy things happen. But this defense for Carolina is bad. It's really bad. They're at the bottom of all the categories. And let me ask you this, Trev. Is Luke Kuechly playing?
No, sir.
Is Brian Burns playing?
No, sir. He was traded to the New York Giants.
Is Cam Newton playing?
No, sir. We didn't even give him a call when he needed a job and we needed a quarterback.
I mean, who staying on the defensive side of the ball? Can you name one Carolina player?
Yeah, he's hurt for the year. Derek Brown.
Derek Brown,
defensive line. Yep.
Right, and he's out for the year.
Yep.
I mean, J.C. Horn. You can name him, right? Because we've been talking about him. Is Steve Smith Sr. playing over there? This
sir.
Week? Right.
Jake Delhomme. Thomas Davis, Jonathan Stewart, who is on the Believe Panthers
Right.
podcast. Who else is back there?
Sam
Adam
Mills.
Thielen, Sam Mills, Julius Peppers,
Julius Peppers. Is Julius Peppers
Josh
coming off the edge?
Josh Norman. You know what I mean? Like,
There you go. That's another good one.
it's just no, there's not.
Yeah. So there's not a whole lot to be afraid of, but Washington has to prepare properly for this game in order to not allow it to be a trap game.
Yes, I can't wait. It's at Carolina. No, it's at home. I'm an idiot. We're Dale Green.
Yeah.
Also, it's a home game, and our fans are going to show out.
Yeah.
This apparently like they showed out in Baltimore. I think we held our own as far as fandom at the attendance at the Baltimore game,
absolutely.
but they're really going to show out and make it really hard for old man. Old Red is what I call Andy Dalton.
Absolutely. Is
Muhsin Muhammad. Oh my gosh, that's a
Ricky Prohl. There you go. Did you see Ricky Prohl's kid on American Idol?
No.
Yeah. He was selected for the top 24 or whatever. He was in camp for somebody's this past year, not 2024, but 2023. He was in camp. He was a wide receiver, but he wasn't good enough. So he took up music and he made it to the top 24 on American Idol. Ricky Prohl's kid, believe it or not.
That's wild.
Yeah. Curtis Samuel, ref the district, pops in from over there on Facebook. That must be Nathan or EP. Jumping. Oh, that was that was a good one, Curtis Samuel. Nice job there, Trev. Yeah. So let's see. JC, I read this. I wasn't sure. I forgot to confirm it. But J.C. Horn was targeted only 4 times in that Atlanta game, even though Atlanta scored 38 points. He was targeted only 4 times. He had 2 pass breakups, an incompletion, and then Drake London had a 2-yard touchdown on him. And that was it. 4 times he was targeted.
I'll take it. Let's see how many times JD5 going to target him.
Yeah. Their last 3 games were against the Bengals, the Bears, and the Falcons, and they lost all 3 by double digits. They lost by 10, they lost by 26, and they lost by 18.
How did they beat the Raiders?
I don't know how they beat, and they scored 36 on the Raiders too, no less.
And that was in Vegas too, right?
I don't remember where that was, but they have they have a pretty decent offensive line, right? I mean, Chuba Hubbard does do some damage there. And this last week, he had 18 carries for 92 yards. And by the way, Atlanta got 0 sacks on Andy Dalton.
Really? So, they don't have a defensive pass rush at all. They haven't had one of those since I don't even know who. Vic Beasley or something.
So, Trev, real quick before we move on to our guest and talk a little bit more about the Carolina Panthers. What do you think are the keys to victory here for Washington in this game?
Run the ball, pass the ball, score points. Defense, bend, don't break. Siebert, make all your kicks. You gotta make Andy Dalton uncomfortable. Don't let that man get comfortable because he, like I said earlier, he's got a little gas left in his tank. He can do what he wants to do if he has a chance to do that. Let's not give him a chance to do that. Just stay focused and keep playing your game. Don't switch up your game for nobody, no matter the record, no matter who the quarterback is. You keep the same game going, and we'll be just fine.
I like it. All right, so we're gonna move on and talk about this game here in just a second. We're gonna bring in Desmond Johnson, our guest here, in just a minute. Of course, I'm gonna do a little bit of our preparation for some other content here. So give me 1 second as I move some things around. And I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. There we go. All right. And here we go. Let me get that ready. All right, here we go. The 4-2 NFC East leading Washington Commanders come back home to face the 1-5 Carolina Panthers, and we have the host of the Believe in Carolina show, Desmond Johnson, to give us an inside look at the Week 7 matchup. Let's go. All right. Oh, I lost Trev there. Sorry, Trev. Welcome back to episode 195 of Ref the District here on the Believe Network. We are a proud member of the Believe Network, and we're now happy to be joined by Tobacco Road Sports Radio's Desmond Johnson, host of the Believe in Carolina show, and we're going to bring him in now. We got to move some things around. Believe Adam here. Take that away. There you go. Welcome, Desmond, to the show here on Ref the District.
What's going on, guys? How y'all doing tonight?
Yeah,
good, man. How are you doing?
I'm a Panther fan, so I'm doing right now.
Look, I mean, we want to feel bad for you, but we've been in your position for many years, so we don't feel that bad for you. But I was thinking about this when I was prepping for this show. If you're a Carolina Panthers fan right now, whose jersey are you going out and buying? Is there anybody? I mean, obviously it would have been Bryce there for a while, but
I mean, even when Bryce was playing, there was still like 50-50 with the fans not sure if he was the right fit. Like it always felt like they were kind of trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, sort of, from the very beginning. That's why he got yanked so quick at the beginning of this year. This wasn't a 2-game evaluation. This was an 18-game evaluation over 2 seasons, and he regressed. He literally regressed in front of our eyes. So shout out to head coach Dave Canales, first-time head coach, taking the initiative to see that he could potentially lose the locker room early in a 17-game season, and a lot of it was due to the play of the quarterback. Like, he literally looked like a high school quarterback the first 2 games of the season. So yanking him, putting in Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, gave us a little bit of a spark. I heard you guys talking about that Raider game. They literally just jumped on the Raiders early. Like, their game plan early, they scored early. They continued to score. They didn't make a lot of mistakes, and the defense basically did their job. And one of the things that people aren't talking about this Carolina Panthers team, even though they're 1-5, ever since Dalton got put into the lineup, they have been playing competitive football. They have not quit. They have not given up on this season. There's still 11 games to go in this season, and they're in the NFC South. So they have not given up. They're just still trying to figure out ways to win, to finish out games. It's really more of a situation of they don't have enough bullets. That's basically what it is, especially on defense. That Falcons game, the score looks slanted. I mean, they lost by 18, but that was a 5-point game at the start of the fourth quarter. Like, they just ran out of they just ran out of bodies, literally, and Atlanta just kind of slowly pulled away. So this Carolina team, they have to jump out on you fast. They are not a come from behind team. They just don't have enough ammo to really do that. But the Panther fan base, we've gotten to the point really over the past couple of weeks where it was more, we just want competitive football. Like, at this point, we just want to see competitive football. Like, if we lose, we get it. We were 2-15 last year. We're in the middle of a huge rebuild. It's going to take a couple of drafts, a couple of off seasons for them to really get this right, because not just the previous regime, but this roster has been damaged by the last 2 or 3 regimes, like, in a row, like, in terms of what they did, searching for a quick fix quarterback and just trading away draft picks in the middle of the rounds. And now that's coming home to roost because there's no depth. Skylar Callahan, who's our co-host on Believe in Carolina Panthers, who's the beat writer for Sports Illustrated for the Panthers, he mentions this the past 2 seasons in the preseason, that there's just not enough depth on this roster. And then if you get a couple people hurt, Derek Brown, Shaq Thompson, guys that are leaders that this defense will look completely different with. Ejiro Evero's coming in this gunfight with a gun with a couple of bullets in it, and he's going to shoot it early. And after that, I don't know. I don't know. So that's kind of the thing. I will say this, though. This Carolina team is a dangerous team to overlook because there's nothing more dangerous than a team like Carolina in their situation going on the road with absolutely nothing to lose. Like, literally, the entire nation expects them to lose this football game, pretty much every football game that they play going forward. And they know that. So they're going into these games playing with practice squad guys right off the street, guys got signed 5 days ago, just trying to keep the roster at 53. But this game is interesting to me. It's a really interesting game because of who you have at quarterback.
Ooh, so why does that make it interesting with who you have at quarterback?
Well, last year, Carolina was in a similar situation with Bryce Young at quarterback, and a really hot rookie quarterback came to town by the name of CJ Stroud. And when he came to town, pretty much everyone wrote off us. Matter of fact, I did a hit for the Believe in Texans show a couple days prior. Actually, I think it was me and Stu. And we had them on, and they were like, "There's just no way. There's no way Carolina's going to, like, we don't give them any chance, like, to win." And they rattled that rookie quarterback. Like, the only thing I think they really have going for him is that Jayden Daniels has yet to really have a bad game, and he's going to have one. He's a rookie quarterback. It's going to happen. It doesn't matter where it's going to happen. I think it can happen Sunday. I really do. I think they can really show him some things he hasn't seen yet in terms of pressure, in terms of being able to defend some of these wide receivers. J.C. Horn, when healthy, is probably a top 10 cornerback in the league. He just hasn't been healthy until this year. And he's getting a chance to really show what he can do now. He's probably the best defensive player we have active right now. And I would imagine Washington's going to throw away from him as they've done the past couple of weeks. But there's some dudes in the back that can do some things. And I would imagine Ejiro Evero, the defensive coordinator, who was a hot name for the past 3 or 4 years in the coaching circles, I haven't lost faith in his ability to coach a defense, regardless of the names in the back. And depending on who they get back, whoever's going to be available, I think they can rattle Daniels in the first half in particular if Washington slips into just trying to pass the football on this Panther team, similar to what they did to Stroud last year.
Yeah,
I think that game away. They won 9-7 over Houston. So that's what we're holding on to. That's a rookie quarterback. We can. There's some light here. We can do some stuff here. Maybe.
I'll be honest. I'm surprised to hear you speak, pretty positively, not just about the team as a whole, but against Washington's offense. I mean, you obviously can look in the past at Washington. You say it doesn't really matter what's going on with their offense. They're bound to kind of screw it up at some point. This team is obviously a lot different with Jayden Daniels being the quarterback he is. I mean, they're third in scoring, fifth in total offense. And they really, like you said, Jayden Daniels really hasn't had that bad game yet. I'm trying to figure out why you think this would be, specifically why this would be the week that Carolina, of all teams, who are 32nd in the league defensively, how they're going to all of a sudden stop Jayden Daniels.
Well, I didn't say they're going to stop him. I just said that this would be the best chance to. Yeah. Okay. This is their best shot to try to do if they do that early. It's the NFL. It's not college football. So to me, any given Sunday, the worst team in the league can defeat the best team in the league. Well, probably not the Chiefs, but I mean, they can. It's an even playing field. Any given Sunday, a team that's hot can come out and just throw out a dud. Any given Sunday, a team can come out that's just been right there on the cusp of trying to win, and they find a way to win. And to me, I think it's even better that they're on the road. Carolina is one of the franchises where their stadium gets taken over by visitors a lot, especially when they're having bad seasons. You see terrible towels from Pittsburgh. You see Cowboys fans there. I've been to Carolina games where there's been Steeler fans walking around uptown Charlotte, and the Steelers aren't even in town. They're just out there waving towels and like screaming at each other. Pittsburgh, it's like, what are y'all doing? Like, Pittsburgh's in Cleveland this week. But it's one of those type of venues where the home crowd can be stifled by the visiting crowd very quickly. So going into a visiting game, I think just being around football players of different levels, it's a different type of preparation going away and having to focus on the task at hand as opposed to getting up out of your own bed and doing your regular routine, that kind of thing. Yeah. Maybe a little bit more relaxed. I feel like they might have a little bit more edge to them. I'm not saying they're going to win the game. Matter of fact, I think we predicted that Washington would end up winning this football game, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as the national media and pundits have made it out to be. Again, this Carolina team is very feisty. They're going to give you a game regardless of who's out there playing, and the offense is relatively intact. We've tried to throw out the first 2 games. There were just complete disasters in terms of offensively doing football. If you look at everything from week 3 onward, Chuba Hubbard's averaging like 6 yards a carry. They're just not giving him the ball enough. He's not getting 20 plus carries a game. I think 18 he got the other week, and Sunday he only got like 10. Got 60 yards. He's averaging 6 yards per carry, but it got the game again gets away from them, and they have to start throwing the football down the field. And honestly, Andy Dalton just kind of forced 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter, chasing the lead as it was slipping away. And that's why that score got to the way it was. He threw 2 interceptions that were in Falcon territory, and they had 2 quick scores, and the score ended up being 38-20. But Again, that was a 5-point game going into the fourth, and the Panthers led in the first half. So, I mean, it wasn't like a blowout all the way through. It was a competitive game. I would expect a competitive game on Sunday too.
So yeah, that kind of leads into my next question. I know you expect and the fans expect the competitiveness, but at 1-5, what do the players expect for the rest of the season? Like, are they still trying to make the playoffs, or they just want to be in games and be competitive and just see what happens?
Well, Stu made a great point because our fan base, we're used to mock drafts in October and stuff like that. Like lately, like they're already looking at Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter and all these guys, and I'm like, it's week 7, it's week 8. What are y'all doing? We got like 11 games to go here. Like, come on, guys, let's get it together. And Stu has always been the one to be like, NFL players don't tank. Like, you can't tank. If you're an NFL team, it's impossible to get 53 guys to collectively be like, we're going to play our worst so we can luck into a high draft pick, and this one kid's going to come in and save the franchise. Like, this is not how NFL players are wired. Like, it just doesn't work that way. He's like, you've got guys out here, the average NFL career is like 2.5 years or something like that. There's guys that need tape. Like, their jobs are on the line. Like, they may not be in Carolina next year. They may not be anywhere next year, and they have to make sure they look good to go forward with whatever general manager Dan Morgan and Dave Canales are building here. I do feel like the players understand that are here right now that this is different than when Frank Wright was here, or even when Matt Rule was here, where it's just a different kind of rebuild. When you have Dan Morgan in the general manager position in the front office, a former Panther, he's been very adamant about the type of players that he wants to bring in here. Dogs, as Stu had coined them, and he had mentioned in his first press conference. And he's drafted a few of those guys. Trevin Wallace, keep an eye on him, the middle linebacker that's had the rookie middle linebacker they drafted in the 3rd round that has had to play due to Shaq Thompson's season-ending injury. He's one of those guys. Chuba Hubbard, dog. He's one of those guys. Like, there's bits and pieces, but again, it's going to take some time for them to really flesh out this roster. But I do think the players and the coaching staff believe in what they're trying to build. They just understand that, it's going to take a little bit more time to do it. But you can't tell a Panther fan that, because we've been waiting. When was Cam Newton really 7 years ago? Like, I mean, that was the last time we really had a playoff team, like 2017. So it's been a drought, and we've gone through it. We've had 3 head coaches, 2 interim head coaches, not counting Ron Rivera, who was here when Tepper first bought the team. It's been turnover after turnover, and I think we've landed on our head coach. I do feel like Dave Canales is the right guy this time around, and he's in lockstep with Dan Morgan. They've worked together in Seattle. It feels like they're putting this together. Tepper's kind of, for the most part, been out of sight, stayed out the way. I know that's the national narrative, that he's a meddling owner that's impatient and the Scooby-Doo villain of sorts, but I think he just wants to win. He's just used to getting things quickly, and he realized he can't do it quickly, and now he's turned it over to the right folks, and he's stepped out the way. So it's just going to be a matter of time. But again, with Carolina, their health is their main issue right now. They just don't have enough players to really go into a game confidently, and for me to be like, oh, they're going to win this game. This is a winnable game. We were looking at this Washington game in the preseason thinking, yeah, we should win that football game. Like, before we even knew what Jayden Daniels was going to look like and everything else, we were looking at, this is an easy part of our schedule. We go up there, get a win. And so we 1-5 later, it turns into a game where it's like, we got to go play Jayden Daniels. So it's crazy.
From our guy, Uptown Dre, he says, yo, Des, will Bryce Young get another opportunity to play again this season? Not when we're not talking injury, but in terms of giving him a shot to see if he can kind of figure it out.
That's the $1 million question right now in Carolina. I would say no. That I've had this theory that Dave Canales saw that Bryce Young had regression before we even got to week 1. Like, you don't yank a guy week 2 and go, well, he's not playing right, I'm gonna put this guy in, he's our starter. Unless you've had an inkling that this was coming down the line. There's a reason why I think Bryce Young didn't play in the preseason. We got a lot of word salad and excuses why he didn't play. I think he didn't play because they were protecting him. I don't think he was really ready, and he was slow to learn this Dave Canales offense. And I think what ended up happening, Canales and Dan Morgan went to David Tepper probably right towards the end of preseason, maybe right before week 3, and told him, hey, we want to start Andy Dalton week 1 over Bryce Young. And I think Tepper was basically like, well, let's give him a couple games, see if it's truly what it is. And then if it's really the way you're saying, then, it's okay. We'll make the switch. And that's exactly what happened. I think he played worse than they expected him to. Bryce is broken currently right now. I don't know if putting him back in would actually help anything. he's going to look the same as he did weeks 1 and 2. He might look a little better, but he had issues that had nothing to do with what was around him. Like he was leaving the pocket in 2 seconds or less. And we think it's PTSD from last year when it was just a walking turnstile of the offensive line. Funny thing is now Carolina's offensive line might be their strongest position group. They're ranked like top 5 in PFF this year, which is amazing. They dumped all their money into the offensive line, really, and it's shown through Chuba Hurt's running. Andy Dalton's comfortable back there. So it was really a Bryce thing. So I don't know if they put him out there at all. It would have to be the season is just completely shot, and they're trying to increase his trade value. Because I do believe that Bryce is probably done in Carolina. I do think that they'll try to ship him off next year in the offseason. Can't really get much for him right now, which is why he's probably still on the roster. You probably maybe get a 5th or a 6th for him, maybe if you're lucky. But considering what Carolina gave up for him, you just can't do that. I mean, you gave up DJ Moore, you gave up 2 first-round picks, you gave up a 2nd, you gave up a 4th. Like, I mean, you gave up all this stuff to move up 8 spots to draft this kid, and then to just take a 4th to get him off the roster 18 games later. You can't do that. So he's going to be there, and he's in a good position to learn under Andy Dalton, and I think he will learn. But some of the things he says to the press and some of the things that he mentions about motivation, and he just seems shell-shocked. He doesn't seem very confident right now in his abilities, and we made this point too and believe in Panthers. Bryce Young, every level of football he's played, he's been successful at, highly successful, but every level he's played at, he's had 5 stars around him, whether it was at Mater Day, his high school, which was the #1 ranked high school in the country.
Mm-hmm. Was that?
And now this is the first time. This is the first time where he's not surrounded by high-level talent. And Bryce Young is not the type of quarterback that can elevate talent. He's not a Cam Newton. He's not a guy that can come in and throw it to a Fozzie Whitaker or whatever and elevate the team. He can't take a team with spare parts and go 15-1. Like that's a unicorn. That's a Cam Newton. That's a Lamar Jackson. That's a
Jayden Daniels.
Jayden Daniels is potentially that in that area. CJ Stroud potentially in that area. Bryce ain't that guy. He's better than average, I think, but he has attributes that he just can't overcome. And I'm still worried about his size. He's having to jump to complete screen passes. Like that's alarming. He's throwing on his tippy toes just to get it over, like defenders jumping at him as he's running or whatever. That's not going to change. So I don't think that he's the quarterback that Dave Canales really wanted. I think Canales used that to get in the door, and now he can actually kind of build this thing the way he wants to. It's going to take David Tepper and Nicole Tepper basically swallowing their pride and realizing they made a mistake and cutting their losses. But it could be worse. We could be Cleveland. So, I mean, that's a way worse situation quarterback-wise than what Carolina's in right now. So,
to keep it going on the quarterback, what do you look for Andy Dalton to do to have success against this Washington defense coming up on Sunday?
Play within the downs, play ahead of the downs. Andy needs to go into Dave Canales' office and say, you need to give Chuba Hubbard 25 plus carries in this game, regardless of what the score is. Like, we need to play keep away from the Washington offense. We know they're highly ranked in most statistical categories offensively. The best defense for that is to keep them on the sideline. And what better way to do that than with a running back that's averaging 6 yards a carry? Like, literally, there was a stretch in the Falcons game in the fourth quarter where they ran Chuba 4 times. It was 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, 5. I mean, literally, it was first down, and then they didn't hand it off to him the rest of the game. So it's literally they kind of forget he's there. Yeah. And I think if they don't forget that and make him the true workhorse, they can control the tempo of the game. And I think that would be what slows Washington down, is controlling the clock, owning ownership of the clock and keeping their offense off the field, keeping their defense tired, which in effect would keep Carolina's battered defense fairly rested, which they did last week until the second half, and then it kind of got away from them. So I think they understand what they need to do. I think they can do it against Washington. Do I expect them to? No, I don't expect. I don't know what to expect from Carolina at this point. Like, they could literally come out and score 36 like they did against the Raiders, or they can come out and do what they did last week. So I don't know, but that is there. That's the one thing that keeps me coming back to watch them, that opportunity does exist for them to score 36. We've seen them do it with this personnel. So versus a Raiders team that just beat Baltimore on the road the week before. So, I mean, they can play against other teams in the league. It's just a matter of not listen to the national pundit. You have to actually watch the Panthers actually play to understand they're not playing as poorly as like Cleveland. Like if I had to pick the worst franchise right now, it's not Carolina. Carolina to me is trending up. Cleveland is doing this like I don't know what's going on out there, and I don't know how they get out of it. But it's not the worst situation. We were last year. We were the worst last year, but they're turning it around. So I wouldn't be surprised if you get a competitive game Sunday.
All right, so Desmond, my last question for you. You've talked up pretty well what you think Carolina can possibly do against Washington. Now it's time to put it on the line. Give us your prediction of what the score is going to be and how it's going to get that way.
Yeah,
you got to put it on the line. You've been talking all about Carolina.
It's got to be a rock fight. It's got to be a rock fight. If they try to get into a shootout like they did last week, they don't have enough bullets to sustain that. It's got to be similar to, like I said last year, they beat Houston 9-7 in a literal rock fight. It was just Carolina had 3 field goals. Houston got a touchdown, but Carolina controlled the game. And in that game, it was around this time of the year last year, and they were banged up then too. Shaq was already out for the year last year. J.C. Horn was out for the year at that point last year. They were banged up in multiple areas, and they were still able to put together a defensive plan to rattle C.J. Stroud. If they can rattle Jayden Daniels early, get the lead early, and play ahead as opposed to behind, I'm still going to pick the Commanders, but I'm going to go 17-13 Commanders, and it'll be tight throughout the game. Commanders will pull away in the fourth, I think, for that final margin. But I think this will be one of those games where at halftime, the booths or whatever will be saying, hey, what's going on in DC? Like, what's happening up there? It's just going to be one of those weird, wacky games where everything needs to go right for Carolina, basically, to go home with a win. But you get one or two of those each year, so they're due. And it sounds like I'm talking myself into it, and I kind of
it does a little bit.
That's the life of a Panther fan right now. I've been hosting Believe in Panthers for the past 4 years. I was one of the first Believe hosts. We have yet to have a winning season since I started hosting Believe in Panthers, and I've gone through 4 head coaches in 4 years. So I'm a bit battered myself. But we do pride ourselves on being one of the few Panther podcasts that try to be more positive about what's going on as opposed to just dumping on them, which is why we go on Tuesdays. We let everybody get their stuff out on Sunday and Monday, dump on the team, dump on Tepper, dump on Canales. Then we come in Tuesday morning and kind of clean up everything and give some perspective. It wasn't that bad. We went back and watched it and that kind of thing. So I felt better watching the Falcons replay than I did at the end of the game. When I went back and rewatched, I was like, you know what? Hey, this was actually a pretty close game. Like they actually, in parts here, they were actually doing their thing. They just got away from some stuff that they were doing really well at. And I think that they'll look at that tape this week and realize, hey, we've been able to run the ball on pretty much whoever we want. Let's do that. Yeah. Let's run the ball. And if we can run the ball, we can keep Washington off the field. They can do that. They can keep it close. And we'll go there. But I'll go 17-13.
All right.
Commanders.
17-13 Commanders. Trev, what do you got?
I got I like 30-13 Commanders.
30-13.
I think it'd be tight, like you said, halftime, 13-10, 13-3, whatever. But then they're not scoring anymore second half, and we're just going to put the foot on the gas and keep going.
I think it's going to be very similar to the Atlanta game for Carolina. It's going to be something they're going to keep fairly close throughout the game, and then Washington's depth is going to prevail into the fourth quarter. They're going to wear this defense out. Brian Robinson, our running back, should be back for this game, so we're going to establish the run a little bit better. Jayden Daniels is going to be the Jayden Daniels he has been for the first 6 games because we don't know anything otherwise, right? We haven't seen anything otherwise, so we're going to stick with it until something different happens. So I'm going to go 38-20, exact score of the Atlanta game. I'm going to go 38-20 Washington. I think they've got a good shot at pulling away late in this game. Washington. Do you have any sort of issues with our scores that we have predicted? Basically blowouts.
Yeah, no, I kind of expect that. I will say that the noise you're hearing around the Panthers, they should trade like Deontay Johnson or Chuba Hubbard or whatever. I don't think they're going to do that. If anything, they're going to try to keep Deontay Johnson. That's kind of how they got in this hole in the first place. Trading guys off for pennies on the dollar and not getting back what they needed in return.
Oh, right, sure.
McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Brian Burns, like there were stars on this team. They traded them all away.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, but I understand your logic with the scores.
Yeah. All right, Desmond, we appreciate your time here on Ref the District. That's Tobacco Road Sports Radio's Desmond Johnson, also the host of the Believe in Panthers, Believe in Carolina show. And Desmond, where can our fans of the Commanders find you and the work that you do, both with your radio show on social media and Believe in Carolina?
You can find us. Believe in Panthers. You can find us on X at Believe in Panthers. We're live every Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do open mailbags, so you can participate the same way you guys do here. I also run the Keep Pounding podcast network for Fans First Sports Network, so you can find that at KP Pounding Network on Twitter. And then, of course, Tobacco Road Sports Radio. We're here in Central North Carolina. We handle everything from we're the home for North Carolina A&T Athletics. We're the producer for Charlotte Hornets radio network here in the Triad. We do a bunch of high school football here in the area. I think we've got 4 games live this Friday. You can follow us on Twitter at Tobacco Radio there for any kind of news on the Hornets, the Panthers, ACC hoops, you name it. If it's North Carolina centric, we probably got it over there. So definitely come check us out.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, Desmond, for taking the time to join us here on Ref the District.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Appreciate you. All right, let's bring it back here a little bit. Mr. Trev coming back, and we're going to kind of I'm just going to say something real quick here, Trev. And I think you probably know where I'm going with this. That was really good stuff from Desmond. And I kept calling it the Believe in Carolina, and it is the Believe in Panthers show. So I apologize for that. But he sounds exactly, and I mean exactly, like we've sounded the last couple of years.
Yeah, he does.
Just absolutely maybe a little bit too close to the situation, and just a little bit, this sounds like a bad word, and it's not a bad word, like a little bit delusional about what's happening with his franchise. This is a bad football team. And I know he knows way more about the Carolina team than we'll ever know, right? Because he's so much closer to it.
Yeah.
But they're not a good football team. And to say that, that they're still a good team, they're still fighting, and they just need to run the ball, and they just need to keep the other teams off it. That's exactly what we've been saying for 3 years prior to this year. We've been saying they haven't quit on it. We finally got our coach. The owner is no longer meddling in the process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is exactly what we've been saying for 3 years.
You're right. You're right.
And
that's exactly right. And it's just not. I appreciate the optimism, but he's what we call here in Commanderland Ashburn syndrome.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what they would call it in Carolina, but
I mean, yeah, it's just Washington to win. But
he did, but
17 only going to score 17 points. I mean, it's possible, but
it is. But
like I said about Jayden Daniels, there's no reason to expect for him to come back down to earth when he hasn't yet.
No,
he hasn't done it yet. I mean, they had the game against the Giants where they only scored 18 on 6 field goals, but they moved the ball all up and down the field all game long and just couldn't get it over the. It just sounded very familiar to me. It just sounded very, very real. Like, oh, that's exactly what we've been saying for 3 years.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to hear it from the other side.
We finally got our head coach. He's the guy. The owner's no longer meddling in everything, and our team fights. Yeah, we gotta give it to the guy 25 times. And that's true. I mean, I'm not saying it's not true.
We got Andy Dalton back there. We got Taylor Heineke, Mr. Moxie. He'll get us there.
Right.
Nah, dog.
Yeah, that was good stuff from Desmond. We appreciate him joining us. So here, just kind of in our final segment here, we got to get everybody's predictions. Some people have already been putting their predictions in there, and of course, we want to get our predictions, which we did. But look, I think I just kind of threw out 38-20 just to kind of give it some symmetry with what Carolina did last week against Atlanta. But I see no reason that Carolina is going to be able to stop this offense.
No, I don't either.
This is not an average defense in Carolina. This is maybe the worst defense in the entire NFL.
He said J.C. Horn's their best defensive player that they have right now active, and he's in trade talks.
And
So, I mean, we might not throw it to him, but we'll kill him everywhere else.
They're giving up 34 points per game. Washington is averaging 30 points per game. They're going to score quite a bit. Washington is going to score. There's no reason to think they're not.
On Darryl Green Day? Bro.
On Darryl Green Day at home.
We got the show out.
Yeah. Coming off a loss, so guys are pissed. Guys don't like losing, so they're going to be a little bit more focused. And I just don't think there's any way that this Carolina defense, again, they're 30th against the run. And Washington is 5th running the ball. And if Brian Robinson is back, they're going to run the ball quite a bit, and they're going to be very successful at it.
Exactly.
So
I agree.
All right, so those are kind of the last few things here. With that, we talked about the Darryl Green number retirement. I brought this up a little bit earlier, Trev, and I kind of wanted to get some more thoughts on this before we go. Would you consider resting Brian Robinson for a second straight game, considering the opponent? No?
No.
You would not consider resting Brian Robinson to get him prepared to play against Chicago?
No, I'm not doing that this season. I'm not
Can't play that game?
No, I can't. It's go time.
Man, I would consider it. I think if last week was a playoff game, then he probably would have played against Baltimore. But it was not a playoff game, so they rested him a little bit more. So I think another week of rest wouldn't do him bad. But that's a dangerous game to play, to be able to say
it is
in the NFL that other team's so bad that we can rest guys. Yeah, that's usually a recipe for disaster there.
Yeah.
All right, so appreciate everybody who has been in here. Again, if you are in here for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button. All who are not here for the first time, make sure you hit that like button and go to the audio platforms, especially on Apple, and leave a rating and a review for us. We'd really appreciate that. Let's look at all of these scores as we sort of get ready to get out of here. Trevor's got 34-16. Washington, Lockdown's got 500 yards of offense coming, and I don't blame him for saying that at all.
Nope, it can be had.
Van Negro Jones has Commanders 31, Panthers 20. Uptown's got 35-24. JG's got 31-6. Sweezy's got 35-10. Let's see if we got any more scores in here. We've still got, keep them coming as you're watching this as well. Leave your predictions. Trev, great show. Had Desmond Johnson from Tobacco Roads Radio's Sports Radio and the Believe in Panthers podcast. We talked quite a bit about whether or not the loss to Baltimore was a moral victory. And we talked about what is going to fix this defense, if it's going to be a trade, if it's going to be a scheme, or will it look better just because they're going to play lesser quarterbacks? It was a good time to talk all about that. Nathan will be back in a couple weeks on Wednesdays, but we will be back on Sunday after the game to give our instant reaction. The game starts at 4:05, probably ends about 7 o'clock around there. So maybe 7:15-ish. We'll be live and we'll be doing just like this, talking all about the game, getting your comments and getting your reaction to the game. We appreciate everybody who has been in here. Trev, did you have anything final that you want to hit on before we get out of here?
Nah, man. We're going to take this dub on Sunday. Easily.
I think so. I think it's going to be one of those games that we're going to look at, and it's going to be kind of a coast game where you're just going to by the fourth quarter, it might be over. Maybe Jayden will get another fourth quarter. Maybe we'll see some Marcus Mariota coming in for some cleanup work. What do you call that? Some
Garbage time.
Garbage time. Yeah, maybe we'll see Marcus Mariota on Sunday for that. Yeah, this was episode 195 of Ref the District on the Believe Network. We are proudly sponsored by Bet Online and Don't Sleep Energy. And Trev, until next time.
I don't have anything.
Beat the Panthers, and thank you, Josh Harris, for taking care of Daryl Green.
Yes.
Be a fan.